Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel again once more. Today guys, the topic is so interesting because today's topic is about problems which are based on curve sketching. Now, this is the curve which has been sketched for you. So we are going to answer some question based on the curve sketching. And what the examiner, or let me say what they wanted, this is classroom mathematics. If I were to reveal what they wanted, you can see they say the diagram shows the graph. That diagram is this one, guys. This is your diagram. Now it shows the graph of f of x equals to negative x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus c. So this diagram that you see here, it comes from this equation, negative x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus c. From classroom mathematics, this question is very, very, very important. It will reveal a lot of mathematical understanding. Firstly, I want to start with C. The last term of the cubic function. Every time when they give you a cubic function and they give you the last term, you must know that the last term of a cubic function, in this case, is represented by C. The last term of a cubic function is the y-intercept. C is the y-intercept, and it is clearly seen on the graph when the graph passes through y-axis. So the graph passes through the y-axis at 0 and 0 at the origin. So what is the y-intercept? In this case, it's 0. So the value of C is 0. Guys, it's very, very, very important. Let me just, on this box, let me draw a smaller graph of cubic. Let me say it turns here and it passes. Yeah, the turning point is here. Let me talk about here. Let me say this point is minus 2 when the graph passes through the y-axis. Let me say when it passes through the y-axis, the value of y is minus 2. So this represents the last term on the cubic function. So it means if this equation, minus x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus c, was moving with this graph, or it had to do with this graph, so the value of c was going to be minus 2, the y-intercept. But this one, it has to do with this graph here. So the y-intercept, or the c value, is 0. I saw it in November 2018. They just said they put C, they put the last term. You have to know that this last term, you can find it from your sketch. You look for the y-intercept. So in this case, we realize that the sketch passed through 0 and 0. So C, our y-intercept in that case, was 0. So we can simply even update our equation. We can say f of x actually is minus x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus 0, because we realize that C is 0, guys. It was negative x cubed plus ax squared plus bx. C is 0. So you can update your equation and say it's a negative x cubed plus ax squared plus bx, because you know that C is 0. The last term of a cubic function, it might be the easiest to get because it might be the value, it is the y-intercept, and it's easy to find the y-intercept on the graph. Now I want to show you another equation that might be helpful to you to use. which is the equation of f of x equals to a x minus x1 x minus x2. There is another, I will add and say x minus x3. But let me stop here a little bit. Let me talk about this one. F of x equals to a x minus x1 x minus x2. This one is used in a parabolic function. x1 and x2 are the x-intercepts in a parabolic function. So you used this equation of f of x equals to a x minus x1 x minus x2 in parabolic function if you have the intercepts, if you have got x1 and x2, if you have the intercepts which will be x1 and x2. But now we are in cubic, we add, we say x minus x3. So x1, x2, x3 will be our x-intercept. So use this equation when you have the x-intercept. Do I have the x-intercept? The first x-intercept that I have is here. The x-intercept is when the graph passes through the line of x. This is x, this is y. So the graph, when it passes through the line of x, for example, b is the x-intercept because this graph passes through x-axis. B is the x-intercept, it goes, and it will pass through the x-axis together as the y-axis. So this point is the x-intercept, and this point is the x-intercept. This one is x-intercept and also the y-intercept because it passes through even the line of y. So this coordinates and this coordinates are our x-intercept. So do I have x-intercept? It seems like I have got two x-intercepts, which is the first one here is 0 and the another one is 6. But no, guys, this point of B is the x-intercept and it's also the turning point. So point B, we can see it turns. So is the turning point and as well the x-intercept. So whenever the coordinates in this value 6 or at the point B, whenever this B repeats itself, when it is the x-intercept and it's also the turning point, on this equation you have to repeat itself. So you're going to say, let's start working. Let's say f of x equals to a x minus, what is x1? What is the first x-intercept? It's 0. So you put 0, x, x2. Remember, x1, x2, x3 are our intercepts. What is another intercept? It's 6. So you say x minus 6. You repeat this coordinates of B because it's repeating itself is the x-intercept and also the turning point. As well, you repeat it. You say x minus 6. So you can say I repeated the value of 6. I said x2 is 6, x3 is 6. Because this coordinates of B was the x-intercept and also the turning point. You can do that if the coordinate is the turning point and the x-intercept. You repeat itself on this equation. Now, let's talk about A on this equation. What is A? A is the coefficient of x cubed. So if you look at the x cubed, what is the coefficient of x cubed? It's -1. The number which is before x cubed, it's 1 here. There is invisible 1. So the value of A is -1. A is the coefficient of x cubed, guys, always. On this equation of f of x equals to a, x minus x1, x minus x2, x minus x3, you have to remember that a is always the coefficient of x cubed. X cubed is -1. So you are allowed to say, now you are allowed to say f of x equals to -1, X minus 0, we know it will be X. X minus 6, it's repeating itself, so you can say X minus 6 squared. You can say f of x equals to negative x. Let me say negative 1 times x is negative x. So you can say x times x is x squared. X times negative 6, negative 6x, negative 6 times x, negative 6x, plus negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 32. Hopefully I'm right. 6, 12, 18. Ah, my God. 36. 6, 12, 18. 18 plus 18 is 36. So negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. So you can say negative x. You have to know where does this one comes from. It's a FOIL method. We had x minus 6, which I said is the same as x minus 6 squared. So x minus 6 in brackets times x minus 6 is x times x squared. X times minus 6 minus 6x minus 6 times x minus 6x minus 6 times minus 6 positive 36. So f of x equals to negative x. Let me group like terms: x squared, negative 6x, negative 6x, negative 12x plus 36. The number outside the brackets, multiply every number inside the brackets. Negative x cubed, negative 12x squared plus 36x. F of x equals to. So negative x cubed, negative 12x squared plus 36x. So let's answer their question. The question was, what is the value of a? This a is the coefficient of x squared. So what is the coefficient of x squared? Negative 12. So a is negative 12. Another question was, what is this value of b? b is the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? Is 36. So b equals to 36. C is 0. There is nothing here. So C is 0, and I already talked about C at the beginning of this lesson. I said C is the y-intercept, and we have realized that the y-intercept was 0. So guys, when they say give you equation like this, when they give you equation, they say f of x equals to negative x cubed